Hey everybody, welcome to Monday. And some of you might be going, huh? On this video title. But remember I said last week that sometimes you gotta take the point from people you disagree with, and sometimes you gotta admit when you or your side is wrong. Well, this is an exercise in that. And this article from Jezebel complaining that Chun-Li wasn't in Mortal Kombat, the Mortal Kombat movie trailer. Chun-Li's never been in Mortal Kombat. She's a Street Fighter character. This is why people hate feminism. Because this is the high profile stuff that they're exposed to. Websites like Jezebel, who published this original stupid piece and then claimed it was a troll or a shitpost. These are the people who are critical of video games because of the trolls in the midst of video games. And then they said something utterly stupid about a video game property being turned into a film and then claimed it was a troll shitpost. And we're supposed to take this site seriously regarding feminist criticism of video games going forward. No thinking person is going to do this. One, because they claim they're trolling. So why should we take any piece seriously ever again when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time? But also you're showing absolutely no awareness of subject matter for a media property that's already been a movie once. Street Fighter has been a movie once. Mortal Kombat has been a movie once. How did they get this wrong? Well, they're not going to tell us because they're claiming it's a troll. If you like this sort of self-aware stuff, help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK. All right, so let's do a bit of a history of Jezebel and how Jezebel was always kind of a bad faith actor in my mind. Most people know Jezebel. Well, I'll show you the headline in case you don't believe me. A lot of you have seen this. There we go. Who forgot to invite Chun-Li to the Mortal Kombat? The Mortal Kombat. I've never heard it called the Mortal Kombat. It's always just engaging in Mortal Kombat. But let's look at the highly qualified writer who refers to themselves as, in one point, an astute film critic who noticed the glaring error that was the lack of Chun-Li in the piece. Let's look at what this astute critic's output is, okay? Imagine a seven-step procedure for opening and serving a Diet Coke to Donald Trump. Okay, not film. Have you considered watching professional wrestling lately? Not film. Vice President Kamala Harris calls mass exodus of women from the workplace a national emergency, which it is. Not film. The Chun-Li article. We're allowed to have more than one great black tennis player at a time. Not film. FKA Twigs, Gayle King, Shia LaBeouf's abuse. Not film. Taylor Swift. Not film. White House press secretary will be suspended for a whole week after threatening a reporter. Evangelical, Jackie Spears, Ciara, Michelle Obama, The Mandalorian, TV show not film. Cat puts law degree to good use. There's no film writing from this astute film critic. You know what else there isn't? Video game writing. So, okay, we accept that it's a troll. Why would they publish a shitpost? Why? Why would they decide to do this? And that's why I want to get into a dive on the history of Jezebel. And the problems with the history of Jezebel being treated as, some kind of radical feminist site. Jezebel is best known for taking cracks at people more famous than Jezebel. People like Jon Stewart accusing, The Daily Show of racism. That put them on the map for a lot of people because Jon Stewart went on the show. Not the Green Lantern Jon Stewart, the former Daily Show host Jon Stewart. But he went on the air and said, Jezebel thinks I'm racist. So that kind of made them a going concern, right? Jezebel was also formed because Gawker Media, known and loved for for many viewers of this channel. Gawker Media, the original parent company of Jezebel, discovered that Gawker.com's readers were up to 70% female on a given day. So they decided to create content more attuned to that 70% female readership. Yes, that means that female readers drove things like the Gawker Stalker app. Yeah, but men are the big predators. But Jezebel was originally conceived as a more feminist counterpart to big bad fashion magazines like Vogue and Cosmopolitan. And, feminist cultural criticism with an edge was what the New York Times described it as. Now, the problem with that is that does not tip the hat to history. That before there was Jezebel, there was Cosmopolitan magazine's reimagining under the feminist trailblazer Helen Gurley Brown, who took Cosmopolitan from a very boring, like, Reader's Digest meets Good Housekeeping magazine into a magazine for the modern working woman who was okay talking about sex. So to slam Cosmo in a feminist space does not give credit to Cosmo's history. Yes, it kind of slipped in the 80s and 90s. It's doing better with, people of color and things like that on covers now, but it did slip. However, Cosmo is both feminist history trailblazer and cautionary tale. Because the problem with these publications, with these sites, is when the only reason for being for a media publication is, one, make money. Let's face it, that's the primary purpose of any of this. And then feminism, this weird, undefined morass that is feminism, it's very easy to descend into self-parody. And the interesting thing is that one of the insults Jezebel flung at, of all people, Lena Dunham. Jezebel was accused of feminist self-parody when they went after Lena Dunham, a Vogue magazine Photoshop retouching. But, Jezebel has hit the point of feminist self-parody. Sorry for stumbling there. This stuff is so person insults that person insults that person. Mean girling is not feminism. Okay? Just saying that person's bad, therefore I'm good. That doesn't get us any closer to any sort of equilibrium or equality or better self-image for women, less binary oppressive gender roles, anything like that, right? That doesn't get us any closer. That's just being a jerk and getting paid for it, right? But the big problems, okay, if we take Jezebel at its word, that this Chun-Li Mortal Kombat article is a troll, that's one problem. If we go with my theory that I believe that it wasn't a troll, that it was actually a serious article, and they just didn't want to admit they made a mistake, and so it was a shit post, that's another problem. Okay? Because rule number one of any genre writing, know what you're talking about. Okay? Know what you're talking about. Because if you don't know what you're talking about, you're not adding anything to the whole thing. You're just lobbing spitballs at people you think are an easy target. And that's the real problem to me with so-called feminist criticism of video games and what has driven a lot of gamers to hate feminism. And why I do a lot of the content I do, because it's like, no, guys, look, I get why you don't like this, but let me show you the real stuff. And then I get people going, that's not the real stuff. The real stuff is the shit we hate. And I get it. The problem is, there is plenty of feminist thought. Judith Butler, Martha Nussbaum, people like that, who know what the fuck they're talking about. Problem is, a lot of the stuff that breaks into the mainstream, because it is on the internet, is just ignorant mean girling that doesn't know shit about the subject matter, right? I guess we could say it was a shitpost when someone who doesn't appear to write about films refers to himself as an astute film critic. But that still doesn't justify a site violating its brand in this regard. Like, I haven't read Jezebel in a very, very long time. But I'm not going to take anything seriously that it does. Because if you shitpost once, if you troll once, well, every article could possibly be a troll. But since that's easy to dismiss, right? Trolling undermines the newsworthiness or the quality of your opinion on your service. That's an obvious problem, and which violates the original mandate for the site. If the original mandate of the site were basically to stop the fat shaming and feminism, like if there was sort of a moral cause, if the purpose of the site was just to make more money for Gawker, fine, go make money for Geo Media now. Whatever. You're a troll site. I'm not gonna read you. But let's take the more likely reality is that they're not actually telling the truth here, which I guess is sort of trolling about trolling, but it's actually just somebody embarrassed and unable to make a mistake. And I'm unable to admit a mistake. And I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying I'm examining both options, right? The problem with this, and the way they handled it, okay, is, lots of swearing. Oh, name drop Scorsese. Okay, fine. Be the what I am, a cool chick. Talk about Sub-Zero turning his enemy's blood into a knife. That was admittedly like the thing that saves a Mortal Kombat trailer for me is Sub-Zero, but more on that in a bit. Where are Chun-Li? Where are they? The spinning bird kick that can knock a man's head clean off. I don't remember in the original Street Fighter. Like, Street Fighter's not that kind of game. Sounds like a pretty good plot hole to me. And then, update. Jezebel has discovered the answer to our question about Chun-Li's erasure, and it is that Chun-Li is not part of the Mortal Kombat Megaverse. Wow. See, that update is why I actually think it's that they're being dishonest about it being a troll. If this was actually a shitpost, they would have put that right at the end to maintain some integrity in their site. Okay? This is just somebody who shot their mouth off, didn't know what they were talking about, and couldn't admit it. That's why I come down on the side of this doesn't make sense that it was a shitpost, because shitposting compromises any integrity your site has as a serious source. Why would you wreck your ability to write articles like, national emergency, mass exodus of women from the workplace, Vice President Kamala Harris? Why would you undermine your integrity there with a shitpost? Okay. This is bad, no matter what. But worse, no matter what way you analyze this piece, you're playing into the stereotypes, which is why people hate feminism in the video game space and many other spaces. Because either you're a grifter troll, right, who's just trying to get clicks saying dumbass shit that pisses people off, or you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Either way is bad. And the thing, which is why I say Jezebel's descended into self-parody, is it would be very easy for them to find, mouthy women who are willing to take big swings at things, who actually know fuck all about games. Maybe. I don't know that I'd write for Jezebel. Who knows? Writing for Polygon got me in enough trouble. But hey, I would write for a service like Jezebel just to sort of clean the pollution out of the space. If people are going to get mad at me for writing for a publication like that, but I can actually create better content, it might be worth doing, right? Because people actually read this stuff, and people actually who don't know games because it's a TV show, people actually take this shit seriously. And this is where we get weird crap, like people thinking Princess Zelda is somehow bad for women, even though she is the literal embodiment of nonviolent wisdom, even when she's chic. This is why people hate feminism, right? And the funny thing is somebody who actually knew fuck all about Mortal Kombat would be able to do a feminist hot take on this trailer and actually make sense and might actually have gaming people on board with what the fuck they're on about. I know I'm saying fuck a lot in this video, but what the fuck did they do to Mileena in that trailer? Like, oh my God, not only is she not Mileena, like she might have fangs, I don't know, but she's in black instead of, you know, her traditional like magenta purple. But like, talk about black female savage stereotype. Like, why of all people did they make Mileena black? Why not make Sonya black if you're going to race swap somebody? Because, I mean, Sonya, there's nothing intrinsic to Sonya being white, right? Sonya could just be whoever she wants, right? Like, there's nothing. Sonya's a badass. She's, she's enlisted in the military. So, I mean, I wouldn't change anybody. I'd just include Jade. If you're going to put a black character in there, easy. They exist, like a black woman, because every show needs a black woman now, right? But just use Jade. Why race swap Mileena? Because, okay, who is absent from the trailer almost entirely, and who I think the original author actually meant, was Princess Kitana. And they kind of showed somebody I think was Kitana from the back, and she ain't black. Maybe that's not her. They didn't actually identify her, but she's a major force in Mortal Kombat lore. And where the fuck was she? Like, this movie's the Sub-Zero show. It misses a lot of the camp that has historically made Mortal Kombat a lot of fun. And the series itself is starting to lose that camp, which is disappointing to me because everything being over the top. I mean, I know they brought back the friendships and everything like that, which okay, but that's reinventing the wheel. It's not coming up with new, cool, fun stuff just because you can. But I mean, HBO makes everything grimdark, which is why I don't think I'm going to be able to manage The Last of Us TV series. Because I've said this before, I don't want to see that story played out on an actual 17-year-old girl. I just don't. I have limits. When it's an adult voicing a digital teenager, that's one thing. But having someone that young involved in that much, like directly involved in that much nihilism, I'm just not. It's a line I've discovered about myself. I can't go there, right? So HBO has to, except for Doom Patrol, like they did a wonderful job with Doom Patrol, I guess by accident, and now they decide they're just gonna fuck up a whole bunch of other nerd properties because, hey, Doom Patrol took off. They don't understand what made Doom Patrol Doom Patrol. And the thing that made Doom Patrol cool was it's weird, right? And they seem to have taken all the literal color, like the bright yellow in Scorpion, the bright purple in Mileena, all the color in that world. They've stripped it out to be like super serious. And yeah, Sub-Zero's effects were really cool. But who's that main guy with like the tattoo? He's not Liu Kang, I don't think. He's not Kung Lao. Goro looked pretty cool. But like does the multiverse not exist? Like, do the other realms, like Adenia and stuff like that, does that, what's going on here? Like, where's all the, like, yes, okay, they have kung fu people, but where's all the cool, like Hong Kong martial arts, like Asian cinema stuff that inspired the original Kombat? Where did that go? That's kind of an important part of the brand. And I think that, I mean, it's already made, so they're not going to listen to me, but leaving that element out, they do so at their own peril because they're forgetting where they came from. Which is why having a black Mileena is weird, because, like, that's an opportunity to get another Asian actress in a show at a time where, like, anti-Asian bigotry is off the charts. And wouldn't that be a great role to have the woman who plays Kitana also play Mileena, because they're supposed to be twins, or get actual twins, or do something that makes a hell of a lot more sense than race swapping Mileena into a terrible stereotypical caricature of angry, violent black women. I don't understand how that happened. Like, if it was in the movie, in one place, okay, but that's all we see of her in the trailer. What the fuck? Like, there's actual legitimate, like, feminist criticism that's also in keeping with, that is change for the sake of change, and it is bad. You're like, she was already easily a minority character. Okay? It's not a lateral move. It's worse. Because the stereotypes about Asian women aren't the same as the stereotypes about black women. And especially now, associating just black women with brutal violence, what are you doing? Right? What are you doing? There's no need to change it. It's a bad change. Fuck off with that, HBO. Like, why did you do that? And that's sort of one of those indications that this is probably going to be a bad movie. I didn't think Raiden looked cool enough, for one. There were some other things. I'm like, what the fuck's going on with Liu Kang's outfit? He's dressed more like Ryu meets the Karate Kid. Like, there are all signs of problems in this trailer. And I could be totally wrong. It could turn out to be a really good movie. But it looks like it's missing the point. And it looks like it's just going to be like 2 and some odd hours of painful. And some people are like, yeah, it looks cool, looks action. And if all you want to do is watch a stupid action movie, like, great. Jax's bionic arms look cool. Okay, fine. But all this is just, as you can see, I'm kind of like throwing up in my mouth a little at all of this, because this is why gamers hate this stuff. This is why people who care about this stuff hate this stuff. And they don't hate it because they're objectifying characters like Mileena. They're upset because Mileena is one of the... It is a character of which, like, Mileena fans are some of the most possessive, devoted, like, murder waifu worshipping MK fans out there. If you don't change Mileena, you don't change Tanya. I don't know why people are so close with Tanya, but they are. You don't fuck with that. You don't fuck with those two. The waifu is strong. And that's not because they're objectifying Mileena. It's because they love the character that much. And when you presuppose that gamers are a bunch of just sexist bastards, then you don't see what's wrong with screwing with a female character that way. Because every single one of the male characters are pretty much recognizable on sight. They changed Raiden to Asian, which, I mean, fine. I don't think anybody has a problem with that, but it's Raiden, right? Kung Lao looks pretty screen accurate. You're making the character not the character anymore. You don't treat male characters like they're fungible, interchangeable. Don't treat female characters like they're interchangeable, especially when they're already a racial minority. It's not like, I mean, Kitana and Mileena we're not sure who they are, what they are. They could be a bunch of races. They're Adenian. They're not an Earth race, but in the newer games, they're more and more obviously Asian looking. So fine, keep that. Why not? They're already minorities, and put Jade in the game. Like, just put Jade in the game. Put Jade in the game. That means you've got 3 women of color instead of 2. And you're not fucking up the character and devolving into racial sexual stereotype about black women on the same boat. This is why people hate fake feminism that they think is real feminism. Please take my word for it. This is not real feminism. Meaningful feminism does not come from a company like Gawker Media, whose entire revenue model is taking pot shots at people to invoke rage clicks. Okay? The fact that these websites got this reputation for somehow being great feminist thought just because of an absence of anything else that got traction, because enragement is engagement, has made the form of feminism that most people are aware of the shitty kind. And people who are actually out there doing like some really interesting feminist stuff, even when Beyonce does like feminism in big glowing letters, people don't as directly associate feminism with somebody like Beyonce or Katy Perry or Taylor Swift or Nicki Minaj or Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion or somebody like that, because it's not scary. And people are like, okay, so there's this horrible, terrible thing that is being cheered for being feminist. And that's exactly the outlet that attacks Nicki Minaj and Beyonce and so on and so forth for not being feminist enough. Which is exactly what happened in the 1970s with the feminist sex wars, right? The sex negative feminists screamed they were being no platformed by the sex positive feminists in academic conferences. And so they sort of bust their way in, people like Andrea Dworkin. And the minute the sex negative feminists were let into these conferences, they deplatformed all the sex positive feminists. And that's how sex negative feminism took over academia. Where sex positive feminism is thriving is the arts outside of gaming. Movies, TV shows, stuff like that. Music especially. There's more artists. The shift to YouTube, female artists have more autonomy over their own images. And the problem with games right now is there still aren't enough women working in gaming as artists, as creators. Women's primary space is as critics and as analysts, which means it's academic stream, meaning it's inherently sex negative. This is why people hate feminism. But this is not the only feminism. And I implore you to stop seeing this Jezebel shit, which is loathsome. I agree with you. It's loathsome. It's bad. It's negative. It's toxic. Stop seeing that as defining feminism and start seeing feminism as women doing shit for themselves just to make shit. Okay? That's why I am more proud of dressing up like a silly blonde princess and making silly videos, and why I move that way with my content instead of doing infotainment stuff that's all talky, smarty all the time. I don't have to prove that anymore. I want to do things that bring people joy. I want to show, not tell. And if shit like this Jezebel crap continues to define feminism, guess what we're going to get? Black stereotype Mileena. Yeah. This is why people hate feminism. All right, rant over. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. I'm going to take so much shit for this. I don't care.